Good day, and welcome to Gaining Vision. I'm Melanie Taddeo-Nxumalo, and today I'm joined by my good friend, Clover Sterling. Clover and I have known each other for a number of years, and she's a woman of many talents, and I'd love to have her share her story with us today. Clover, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Melanie. Thank you for having me. It's a great opportunity to be on your platform.
Thanks so much. Now, Clover, you, as I mentioned, are a woman of many talents. Now, I would love for you to share a little bit about Clover.
Oh, okay. Presently, I'm a TV talk show host. I created my own TV talk show about 11 years ago entitled Coffee with Clover. So it's merely my name and Coffee with Clover. So what I do is basically lifestyle issues we talk about, and it's just sipping coffee and having great conversation with industry professionals. Yeah.
Excellent. And I've had the pleasure of being on your show a number of times. Why did you start this endeavor, Clover?
Well, I started out being I started out being a journalist, but when I went to orientation, at first I wanted to be a radio host, all because I am an introvert, very shy, super shy. So I wasn't thinking of being on TVs. I was thinking of being a radio host. And then, of course, I could have people, I would love to interact with the public too. So I would have people calling in, and then I'll be speaking. And of course, I'll be behind the scenes. So you just have to use your visual. So when I went to orientation, when I signed up for journalism, I see that it had television and magazine included all in one if I do journalism, print and broadcast. And I noticed that the opportunities were endless to get a job or to create your own path. So I chose to be a journalist, studied my course, passed it. And while I decided that, okay, I would love to be a newscaster, I know that it takes many steps to get there, but I tried hard to get into one of the media outlets, and eventually it seemed that you have to know someone to get you in. I tried the right way by sending my resume, didn't get through. So I volunteered with one of my friends who did a radio program, but she was doing a TV show, and she had me volunteered with her. And as I volunteered with her, the thought came to me, why don't you just do your own TV show? And so I started coming up with names. What would I call it? That's a conversation I was having in my head. What would I call it? And I go, Tea with Clover, and I post a lot of things until when I wrote Coffee with Clover, it hit. And I remember after my friend's show ended, I was assisting her that day. I said, Dee, what do you think my TV show would call Coffee with Clover? She said, yeah, I like that. That sounds good. Right away, I told her that. She started introducing me to people. She said, oh, this is my good friend Clover. She's a journalist, and she's going to have a new talk show, Coffee with Clover. So she was actually speaking it into existence. And as I said the name more, it became a household name. And so I started off at coffee shops, anywhere I could get a little audience and get my foot wet, get noticed. And I remember I got through to a coffee shop where they didn't charge for the space as long as I have people come in and they would support the business, and I did my taping. And at that time, I was volunteering at Rogers Television. And so people were pitching stories, and I'm like, I'm going to pitch mine. And so I pitched it, and it was the name that grabbed their interest. They liked it, Coffee with Clover. And they're like, what would you talk about? And I'm like, because I was still unsure of what I would do. And I'm like, well, it's a lifestyle talk show. I'll do fashion, I'll do food, I can do politics. And I didn't want to give them everything because my fear was that they're going to take it away from me, not knowing that it's mine. So they liked it, and they pitched me, and they actually launched me on Rogers TV. And I remember, as I didn't know much people, I didn't even have Instagram, which was already in. And you were introduced to me, and so I got you on as a guest. And Coffee Club was born after being pitched on Rogers TV. And here I am today, 11 years after, still going at it.
It's amazing how time flies. How has the journey evolved in that element of your life?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. It was amazing because how the momentum started growing as soon as I was introduced to people to be on the show, and they liked the idea mainly because they didn't have the exposure of being on other talk shows, and I was willing to take anyone who would be wanted to elevate themselves. And so for every guest that sits with me, they would give me a business cards and said, your show is very interesting. I think you should call this person. I think you should have this person. I think you should have that person on. And it started growing from there. I keep having endless amount of people on, and people were just grabbing the opportunity. And I was talking to anybody and everybody, that a diverse amount of people, and I loved it because for diversity, they have these different backgrounds, and I was learning from all my guests. I was learning as I go along, and that was the exciting part of it.
Amazing. And recently you've published a book. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, in December 2022, I published a book. It's called Empowering Women to Succeed. I'm basically a co-author of that book. It was 16 authors, and the opportunity came when I employed someone to help me to gain momentum for the show, and she introduced me to go to a workshop. The workshop had a banquet, a workshop one day and a banquet the next day. And by going there, I met a group of people, and the opportunity was introduced to me. And I had given them my name, but I forget everything until they called me closer to the summer and said, we had your name down, wanted to become an author. And I said, can you explain again? And they explained. I jumped right at the opportunity. And that's when I get to share my story, my success story of how I started off as a journalist to where I am today, hosting a TV show. And so I shared my story, which is very empowering, one of the 16 stories in that book, showing women that it is possible with consistency. Do not give up. Just keep going, just keep pounding at it, because I never give up. I got no's, I got maybes, and I just execute my plan B's. One thing I've learned along the path, never have just one plan. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. I had a plan A and a plan B and a plan C. So when one fails, I'll go to the next one. So yeah, it was quite an honor to become a published author. I've been procrastinating for years, wanting to write my story, but I'm too busy trying to grow my talk show. But the opportunity came, and because it was a collective effort with other women, it was made possible quickly. Yeah.
Amazing. And where can people find that book? Is it on-
Well, that book, it is available on Amazon, and I have quite a few copies at home. So I hold private, I would say, I call it private parties, where I'll invite people for a sip and shop, and I'll showcase my book. And it's called Leaders with Impact, Empowering Women to Succeed. And as the author, I'm Clover Sterling. So it is available on Amazon. So if anyone goes there and look for Leaders with Impact, Empowering Women to Succeed. Also, if they go to my Instagram at Coffee with Clover, they could contact me there, and then I can set up a meeting for them to obtain a copy. But it's not like in all stores, because this is a full covered coffee table book, which is good to be placed in your living room. So when others come in, they can pick up and read an empowering story. Yeah.
Amazing. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. What has been your biggest lesson, Clover, on this journey of success, I'll call it?
Yeah, my biggest lesson is be persistent. Because as I said, they'll come at you and they'll tell you no. I remember after launching on Rogers TV, and then I heard that Rogers was closing, and my show wasn't going anymore, but I needed to have it going. And I was seeking to find a studio to start. And I had a friend who had information, and I didn't know, she saw potential, and she just wouldn't give it to me until I keep pushing her, until several weeks after she finally told me where the studio was, and I went in. So happened that it was the same producer I had that started me off at Rogers. And again, he got me on CHCH TV, and he got me on other networks and got me to do interviews. And from there, I started building again and got my show going. So the biggest lesson, I have consistency. Do not give up. Do not take no for an answer, because you know what your platform is. You know what you you know what the end goal should be. And if you're on this journey, you cannot listen to others who do not know what you're doing. You have to keep pushing and keep telling yourself you can do it, be consistent, and do not stop. And
And
that's
I
one of the things I
love
did.
that
Yeah.
message, because I think it resonates with everybody. And I think it's easy to give up when you get a no. So the fact that you persevered and accomplished so much is very incredible and speaks to your character. So thank you. Now, you know, my passion and my field is diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is a lot of buzzwords, aren't they, Clover?
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of words all in one.
But here's the thing, this is reality, and this is nothing new. We've been talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion for over 20 years. Not that we're dating ourselves, of course, Clover, but I would love to get your take on diversity, equity, and inclusion. What do you think it is for you, and what would you like to see? And perhaps, can you share some examples of things you faced in your life?
Yeah, so diversity, equity, and inclusion, they're all so interconnected. As it says, diverse, it's different, right? You come together, for example, in the workplace, you're working among different age groups, different genders. Well, it's male and female, like we know it from the beginning of time. And so it's men and women, people, different languages, different beliefs. So, and it's so interesting that when you come across a group of diverse people, that I find I learn from them. I always want to be around so that I can learn from them. And as you talk about equity, it's the word alone says it. It's equality, having access to whatever you want to have access to. There should be no segregation. I just think people ought to just be a good person, and then all these different things will come out of you. You know, inclusion, making sure that everyone is included in the conversation. I remember once at work, they were having, I worked at a place where they have a diverse amount of people. And they're always having potluck, and one particular group just wanted to bring their food. And at one point I said, what about this group? I didn't even mention my Caribbean. I said, what about this group? Would love to taste what they have. Why can't we just include it in the meal? Because I was thinking, yeah, we're diverse and we love your food, but let every culture that's here just bring their thing, you know? And some of the people even quietly thanked me after, because it was in their heart to speak about. They were afraid. I was just looking, no, this is wrong. Yeah, I love your food. You can't just keep pushing this at us. We want everybody to bring theirs. You see what mine tastes like. You and they can taste yours also. So diversity, equality, come together. Let everyone be included in what's being presented. And therefore, no one will feel bad. That is one thing I like about Canada, is that so much diversity. I recently did a few topics on Black History Month. And even though I spoke to all Blacks, I speak to few people of different origin. And I spoke to a gentleman from Africa. And when I asked him about what does Black history means, in his answer, just to summarize what he was trying to say, living in Africa, he doesn't see a difference because they live it every day. When here in Canada, we're just given a month to celebrate. It's like, if you walk on the street, no one will look at you really because they see you as one of them. Where in here, you see the difference. So I think people should just embrace each other. We are all from the human race. No time for the segregation, for the hate, to distance yourself. We're all one people. Let's just have equal access. Let's just give equality to everyone so that everyone can be happy.
I love your sentiment of, and I think your guest definitely put it into words. You know, everybody, it's not just 1 month, this is my everyday life. And I think in order for us as it's a global issue. Inclusion is something we have to work towards. It takes time. We know that there's different groups of individuals that have different lived experiences, and everybody has different lived experiences, even from the same group. So for myself as an individual with a disability, there's many people with various lived experiences. Mine is not the same as all women's experiences are not the same. So having people share their lived experiences is powerful. It's powerful for us to learn. It's powerful for us to understand. And also it helps create a sense of understanding to work towards inclusion. What would you like to see from your lived experiences change so that the globe becomes more inclusive?
Okay, sometimes it seems as if the leaders who are in charge are the one that will secretly, impose to block diversity, equal rights on everyone. So it's up to the leaders to realize that we all need each other. When I look at the endemic that just passed, even though, okay, I'll just shed a little light on, say, what do you call it? What do you call it when people don't like each other?
Would you mean like hatred or?
Hatred, right? And no one was supporting each other. Businesses were closing. I am sure that it doesn't matter what culture you are, you would have loved to see someone of a different origin walk into your business and support it, because everyone needed support. So I think we should be the change that we want to be. Be the change, preach it, teach it, live it, lead by example so that others can see that you're different. And don't just be different for people to pat you on the back. Be authentic, be it from the heart. Like whenever I set out to interview folks, I ensure that I have a diverse amount of guests on my platform, because I want to hear from everyone, because everyone's story is interesting. So I'll say, be the change that you want to see, live it, and lead by example, and others will follow.
Absolutely powerful words. Thank you so much. Clover, there's so much more to the story of Clover, and I would encourage our audience to definitely connect with you. So how can people get in touch with you? Maybe some of your platforms you can share and the best way they can reach you.
Okay, they can reach me on LinkedIn at Clover Sterling. On Facebook, I have Clover Sterling, and I have Coffee with Clover. And I'm more engaged on Instagram, which is at Coffee with Clover. And those are the ways to reach me.
Excellent. And so everybody, I encourage you all to reach out to Clover. She's got a lot of knowledge in the area of broadcasting, journalism, and in life. Perhaps you have somebody that you think could be a great guest for her, and maybe send her a note. Also, of course, like and follow all those fun things on social media, because the more we create a buzz about people's lived experiences, the better. And definitely check out her book again, Leaders with Impact, correct?
Leaders with Impact on
Yes.
Amazon, yes.
Yes, please do that. And we will definitely add some links in the description of this video for your ease to connect with Clover. Clover, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. It's been a pleasure as always. You're inspiring to me as a woman, somebody to look up to, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Melanie. It has been a pleasure.
Have a great day.
Okay.
Until next time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and please share.